A very good evening. You're watching CNN News 18. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has embarked on a 3-day visit to the United States and has an action-packed schedule today. It begins with the Quad Leaders Summit to be hosted by the U.S. President Joe Biden in Wilmington, Delaware, which is his hometown. Following this, Prime Minister Modi will also be heading to New York, where he will address a large community event in Long Island on September 22nd. Prime Minister Modi will also be addressing the UN's Summit of the Future and address the Indian diaspora in New York's Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum before returning to India. That is going to be an action-packed schedule for the Indian Prime Minister. On that note, let's quickly go across to Aman Sharma, Ground Zero in Delaware. He'll be tracking the Prime Minister's arrival minute by minute for us. Aman, a very good morning to you. Take us through what is Prime Minister's itinerary like, and in how much time should we expect Prime Minister to be arriving?
Yes, Akanksha, good in Delaware, in Wilmington, about a 2 hours drive from New York, and this is the hometown of US President Joe Biden. So even more special that the Quad Leaders Summit is being held in Delaware. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to land at the Philadelphia International Airport in about 2 hours time from now. And this is the hotel where the Prime Minister will be coming first, Hotel DuPont in Delaware. This is where the Prime Minister will be coming first, straight from the airport. He'll be here for a while and then he leaves for the Quad Summit venue. What we are learning is that the Prime Minister, before the Quad Summit, Akanksha, will have a detailed bilateral meeting with US President Joe Biden. This meeting is expected to be substantive in nature. A lot of issues are expected to be discussed. Prime Minister Modi will be meeting Joe Biden after his twin trips to Russia and Ukraine. So very important bilateral meeting where some substantive discussions are expected to happen. That will be at about the schedule that we are told about 1 hour US time. After that, around 3:50 US time today is when the Quad Summit will begin. There are 3 separate engagements in the Quad Summit. One is the main summit where all the 4 top leaders will be present for discussions. After that, there is a moonshot cancer event, a new initiative of the Quad this time. And post that, there is an evening reception where all the 4 leaders will also be present. The PM later tonight at about 9 p.m. New York time leaves for New York from Philadelphia. So the full packed day for Prime Minister Modi at the Quad today, and even more special, as I said, because Delaware, where we are right now, it is the hometown of US President Joe Biden, Akanksha. He was a senator from here from 1973 to 2009. He studied here. He moved to Delaware, Joe Biden, in 1953. And since then, he is the local boy here. And this is our last, he's no longer, as we all know, no longer standing from the president. So this is like Quad is also like a kind of Akanksha, a farewell event for Joe Biden.
Perhaps that also explains why India, which was initially expected to be hosting this year's Quad, is going to be doing so in 2025. It could only be seen as a befitting tribute to the outgoing US president. As you said, he's all set to step down, as is the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Take us through how significant is the Quad Summit this year, considering it's only the 4th time that it's happening at a summit level as far as the Quad as an engagement is concerned. Not to forget what will be on the agenda during that bilateral between the US president and the Indian Prime Minister.
Well, Akanksha, see, it is no secret that India and US strategic relationship, the bilateral relationship, has grown by leaps and bounds under Mr. Modi's tenure in the last decade. Whether it was President Trump or President Biden, India's relations with the US have only grown stronger by the day. And now when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is coming to Delaware, to the hometown of US President Joe Biden, this is also an occasion for Mr. Modi to thank Mr. Biden for this long strategic relationship that India and US have seen in the last 4 years. Of course, a lot is on the agenda. What we are told by the authorities here and the diplomats here in Delaware, that the Prime Minister would be speaking. There would be discussions, especially about critical and emerging technologies, the issue of semiconductors, quantum computing, climate change, all of this going to be discussed in the sustainable development goals in which many countries of the world are really struggling. This is also something that will be discussed threadbare at the Quad Summit. Also, I think, Akanksha, a big focus, though it is not in the agenda so far, I think will be the geopolitical tensions in the world, the two wars that are going on. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the US this time comes after he has been to Russia and Ukraine, after India has also advocated for a ceasefire between Israel and Palestine. So a big question here in US, I've been speaking to many experts here, is Mr. Narendra Modi coming here also as a messenger of peace? Is he carrying a message of peace? Is he carrying a message that how can we stop these hostilities between Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine? Is there some formula? Does India want to play that peacemaker, want to take the lead role? I think both at the Quad Summit and when the Prime Minister tomorrow goes to New York, and on Monday when he participates in the UNGA Summit of the Future, this is something that will be firmly on the agenda. India's pioneering role, I would say, in driving this peace effort on the global level.
Absolutely. And give us a sense of how significant is the choice of Delaware as the location for this Quad Summit, and what can we now expect from the bilateral between the US President and the Indian Prime Minister? Interesting that you talk about India's role as the growing voice of the global South, also a peace mediator perhaps between Ukraine and Russia. Not to forget, this is the second time that Prime Minister will be in the United States in slightly over a year, because we've seen Prime Minister also being hosted by the US President to a state dinner last year in June of 2023.
Well, Akanksha, Delaware as a venue, I think, is extremely significant, as it is the hometown of US President Joe Biden. As I was said, 1953, his family moved here in Delaware. Mr. Biden studied here. He went to the University of Delaware, which is not very far from here. About 20-minute drive out, we can go to the University of Delaware, where Mr. Biden graduated from. He worked here. And 1973 to 2009, for this long period over 3 decades, Mr. Joe Biden has been the senator from Delaware. So in a way, Delaware is very, very close to to Joe Biden's heart, and that is why I think the focus of this Quad Summit also is that there should be. That is why India has swapped it with the US this time, and India will be hosting the full Quad Summit next year. And we will be discussing. There are already, we'll see members of the Indian diaspora here. I will just briefly speak to them. Mr. Modi is just about to arrive in an hour's time. What is the feeling here in Delaware?
Oh, we are very, very, very excited.
It's like a dream come true. It's like a dream. Yeah.
Yes, we are very excited to perform in front of him. We are very excited to see him, meet him. I think since 2014, he has created steer around the youngsters about politics. I think most of the youngsters were not interested in politics before that. So we are very excited to see him.
We are very, very excited
We are
to
already
meet him.
having
Yeah.
goosebumps and our hearts are pumping. So
This is US President Joe Biden's hometown as well. So even the more special, I believe.
yes, it is. It is very special for us because Joe Biden is also coming and Narendra Modi ji is also coming.
तो नरेंद्र मोदी जी का लेके जो एक्साइटमेंट इंडियन डायस्पोरा में हमेशा रहता है, यूएस में बड़ा कम्युनिटी इवेंट भी न्यूयॉर्क होता है, आपको लगता है इंडिया इज बेटर ऑफ अंडर मिस्टर मोदी 10 years of its rule? Do you think India has really progressed under Mr. Modi?
Too much. It is. I was in Australia before and I moved here, so I have seen. I moved there in 2009. So before that, he was a CM of Gujarat. So I've seen him from there, how that has progressed, and from there how India has progressed after that as well. So I think another 10 years of BJP, it is going to be very good.
That is the celebrations have already started. If you see here, and the Indian community, Akanksha is already here to welcome the Prime Minister. It's about 1.5 hours away yet for the Prime Minister to arrive. But you can already see these celebrations which are already on, and this is the Indian community members who will be performing when the Prime Minister arrives here, Akanksha. So a festive atmosphere in Delaware, in Joe
I'm not
Biden's
really
hometown.
surprised
A big welcome for Prime Minister Narendra
Aman,
Modi.
there is this festive atmosphere over there, because such is the magic of the Indian Prime Minister. Wherever he goes, not just the United States, whichever part of the world, whether it is Egypt or even various countries in West Asia or Middle East, you see Prime Minister being welcomed by the Indian diaspora, and such is the welcome over here also. As you can see, the Dhol and Nagadas have already started to welcome Prime Minister, that too in the hometown of the US President Joe Biden. But such is the command that the Indian Prime Minister holds over the Indian diaspora. Aman, if I could bring you in, when we talk about the Indian diaspora, especially in the United States, we also know that there will be a diaspora event that the Prime Minister will be addressing in Long Island in New York. Give us a sense of what we can expect. We've seen that conversation of yours with the organizers there, and we can also see the sentiment within the Indian diaspora right now. Talk to them, Aman.
Yeah. Well, Akanksha, the Diaspora event is in New York, Long Island tomorrow, but already so many Indian community members, it already seems like a Diaspora event is happening in Joe Biden's hometown, though Modi ji is coming in just about an hour's time. What is the feeling here? What do you think about Mr. Modi's visit to the US?
Oh my God, we are so much excited today, and yeah, he's like God for us. Yeah, and
He's like God for you?
yeah, of course. Yeah. We are so much proud of him.
Like a dream come true to see him. You know, yeah.
So what will you be performing? What are you performing in front of the Prime Minister?
A garba, India,
folk dance,
Gujarat
garba.
folk dance.
Yes.
We are
Gujarati folk
representing
dance.
Gujarat today.
You are representing Gujarat
Yes.
today. So representation of Gujarat, the Prime Minister Modi's home state. And what do you think about the Prime Minister, the way he's led India in the last decade? Do you think India has changed for the better in the last decade?
Very much change, yeah. So much change, yeah.
What do you think are the big things that Mr. Modi has done?
He done so many things that we
Cleaning
cannot
purpose,
count.
he did really good job. Changes for India.
The Swachh Bharat, you are saying, the clean.
Yes, Swachh Bharat, ma'am. Yes.
Ayodhya, the disputed land, right? It's phenomenal how he, after so many, I
The
think.
new Ram Mandir in Ayodhya.
Yes, can't wait to see it when we go back home.
Oh, you want to see the Ram Mandir when you go back home? So there's a lot of people who go there. You know, since Prime Minister has inaugurated the temple, there have been close to 2 to 3 lakh people
A
who go.
lot of YouTube content creators, you know, that they do a lot of, videos and stuff that we have watched. But can't wait to see it in person.
Okay. And what do you think about India-US relations under Mr. Modi? As we know, we are in Delaware, which is the hometown of...
State of Gujarat. It's a sister state of Gujarat. I think.
Yeah, we're all very proud Gujaratis, and we're like excited to welcome him here, and we're just looking forward to seeing him.
Oh, great. And that is the feeling amongst the people here and some
Aman,
more people who have
I
come
just
from...
want to
So all of you are
quickly
from
take a
Delaware?
question from the women over there. Aman, why don't you ask them
Yeah.
about what do they think about Prime Minister's own, the entire agenda of the government as far as Nari Shakti is concerned? We've seen, the NDA, in fact, work very sincerely towards Nari Shakti as a goal, and you are surrounded by women. Do ask them about what do they think about how women have progressed under this government.
So Prime Minister Narendra Modi's one main focus in India has also been on Nari Shakti, doing more for women. What do you think about that? Have the women in India been benefited from the Modi rule?
I hope so. Yeah, women power. Yeah.
Nari Shakti है यहाँ भी.
हाँ, यहाँ पे भी है. यहाँ तो इक्वालिटी है. So हाँ, हम लोग मानते हैं कि नारी की हमेशा जीत होती है.
And do you think Mr. Modi has done work for women in India? What do you feel? You get feedback from back home. Do you think things have improved in India in the last decade?
Yes, it is. It's been improved, and it's going to be improved. But it's take a time. Yes.
Right. And Akanksha, also, when we see the Gujarati community here, also because Prime Minister Modi's roots are in Gujarat, there's always this fervor we see amongst people when he comes abroad, especially to America, about this. Do you think Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Gujarat connection, always has a more connection? As she said, it is mini Gujarat in a way in the Delaware.
It's the sister state. It's officially the sister state of Gujarat, Yeah. Delaware is the
Delaware.
sister.
So how strong is the Indian community here?
Very strong.
Very strong. Yeah, we have a
We
huge
have
community,
so many,
Gujarati.
Indians over here. So many Gujaratis.
And what about India, Prime Minister, as my anchor Akanksha was asking, that he's done a lot for Nari Shakti in India. Whenever he makes a speech, he speaks about women empowerment. Do you think things have changed on that front in India?
Yeah. We've never been to India that reason, right? So, but yeah, the way he's working in our country, definitely he's doing good for everybody, including the Nari Shakti and everything. Yeah, he is doing regarding the education, the opportunities for the girls out there. It's changing the safety, everything. He has done so many good things for the safety purpose for the girls who's working late nights and going out, and so people feel safe in his time. So yeah, he's doing something about it.
That's Akanksha. That is the feeling
Right.
from the women here who have collected to just before the Prime Minister arrives here in Delaware. Festive atmosphere here. We're eagerly awaiting, everybody awaiting the arrival of Mr. Narendra Modi here in about an hour's time.